Let's talk more then about the housing crisis in the city of Johannesburg. We're joined by the housing MMC, Mlungisi, Mabaso. MMC, a very good evening to you. Welcome to the program. So, a housing waiting list in Johannesburg of 480,000. About 1,500 units are expected to come from this new development that's coming in the Jeppestown area. To say it's a drop in the ocean would perhaps be an understatement. How are you even going to begin to clear that backlog?
Well, thank you very much, Chembegile, and greetings to you and the viewers at home. Well, I fully concur with you that 1,500 is a drop in the ocean. But it's not the only project that we are implementing for the purposes of providing decent accommodation and addressing the backlog. You will know that we are doing informal settlement upgrade, and 10 of the informal settlement in the coming financial year will be upgraded to phase 3 of the upgrade, where we will be putting in permanent services like your flushing toilets, the installation of water stand taps, the electrification and the construction of roads in those particular informal settlements, and also doing the township establishment. And we've got 6 mega projects that we are currently having, and we are putting more resources to those mega projects, and we are doing hostel redevelopment. So this one that we'll be implementing in the inner city, comes after many of the projects that we are implementing. And in the inner city, we want now to provide more accommodation within town for the purposes of people not to travel, from peripheries of Johannesburg to access economic opportunities. So those that will afford and those that will get an opportunity to stay in the inner city, we want to open those opportunities for them. So the particular project that you have referred to at the old Kaserne Building, that will be the first mass development project that the Department of Housing will implement. That will also include the fully subsidized units in a way of an RDP, and there will be low-cost houses there, and there will also be social houses there that will be implemented through JOSCO. So in a way, we have a backlog of almost 500,000 people in our waiting list, but there are quite a number of projects that we have introduced to try and address the backlog that we are currently working with.
With this particular development, 1,500 units, you say measures will be put in place to allow people to get affordable or low-cost housing. Is there a clear breakdown of how many units will benefit people, especially the poor, when you consider that when that building went up in flames last year, the situation was so bad that people had already built shacks inside what remained of that building?
Well, what I can safely say here is that we had numerous engagements with the tenants and the surrounding community there through the ward councillor, Councillor Mlungisi, and then the reason we had reached an agreement that we will do a mixed development is because others qualify for fully subsidized units, others do not qualify. But currently we are at the planning phase, because remember, we had a building that was standing that we needed to get off the way for us to start with proper planning. So we have appointed consultants for that, the professional team. We were with them today on site when we went after the demolition with the mayor, and they are going to start with the processes of planning, and we are going to work with the development planning to expedite all the processes. But the reason we are doing mixed development is because we then learned during our engagement and our verification that some do not qualify and others qualify for low-cost houses, and others will qualify for social houses. So we do not have currently a fully complete list of those people, because there are verifications that are taking place internally, and once that have been completed, we will then be able to share that with the residents in the surrounding communities.
But will survivors of the fire be prioritized? Will they be top of the list, those who do qualify?
Definitely, and that's what had, in fact, came out very strong during our deliberation and engagement with that particular community. We said we are going to prioritize them. Remember, they are the ones that have settled there, and when we engaged with them, we didn't even execute our eviction order, because after the building was condemned, we were able to obtain the eviction orders. But when we went there and engaged with them, they voluntarily, move aside to allow for the development. And we then said to them, you will be prioritized as beneficiaries to this particular development because in a way they have settled there and they've been staying there. So we are bringing that development for them. But of course, other people from outside that precinct will also be accommodated because 1,500 units that will be built and the household there, they are less than that. Then that means the balance of that will also be, be provided or allocated to the communities that are outside the precinct. But the residents, they have appreciated the work that we have done as the department, and we felt it prudent for us, to prioritize them as a sign, of appreciating that they worked with us throughout the process.
So what is the latest count as far as hijacked buildings in the Johannesburg inner city and buildings where people are living, in conditions similar to what was going on at Kaserne, where a building was abandoned and people had even set up other structures within the vicinity?
Well, to be quite honest, we've got quite a number of buildings that are hijacked, that are dilapidated, that are abandoned in the inner city. If you go to Jeppestown, you will see a building outside, but when you go inside, it's an informal settlement full of shacks and fully occupied to its full capacity. And that is the challenge that we are dealing with, and that is the challenge that we are trying to address. In fact, in few days or few weeks from now, there is a building that we are going to open at Jeppestown that we acquired, and we refurbished that building, and it's now ready for occupation, and we will be inviting people there to come and stay. It's a low-cost building, and there are other ones that we have identified, and Joshko is working on those ones for the provision of social houses. So there are quite a number of buildings, but we are acquiring as many buildings as we can. If we had sufficient building, we would be in the position to acquire more building, but because we are working with very limited resources, so we can be able to do the little that we are able to afford, as per financial year. But we are working very close with JPC. We are working very close with development planning, and as soon as they identify the building, as soon as they transfer and give it to us for development, we don't waste time. We immediately implement that project.
Thank you very much for that, Johannesburg Housing MMC Mlungisi Mabaso. Good to have your time, sir.